Hello and good evening to All Things Sky Blue. Game preview. Sheffield went our trip to Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough on Saturday at 3:00 to go through the normal things that I normally do. As you can see down on our ticker below, you can see where to find us at All Things Sky Blue on X or Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, anywhere else where you can get your podcasts from as well. We're sponsored this season by Wright Steel Fabrications. You can do your steel work, welding up and down the country, but mainly in the West Midlands and Warwickshire area. We're also partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena. So, game preview, obviously Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough on Saturday. We've only just played them, so it seems, a short distance from when we spoke last, really. So we're not sure what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure we'll find something. So as always, I'm joined by Mark. Hi, Mark. You okay?
Yeah, evening, Stuart. Evening, everyone listening. Hope you're all good.
Good. Yeah, very well. Thank you. And from Wednesday Till I Die podcast, James. How are you, James?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks for having me on, Stuart. Thanks, Mark. All good. Like you said, like buses, innit? You know, you wait for so long, and then two, and in our case, three come along at once. So yeah,
I know. Yeah, obviously we will touch on the cup game first as well. So before we get into the Boxing Day game, just let us know where we can find you guys and what you guys do again.
Yeah, so it's the Wednesday Till I Die podcast at WTRD Pod on across all socials. All the podcast providers. We're on YouTube as well, so you can watch us as well as listen. We just lightheartedly take a look back at the game over the weekend. You know, our episodes go out on a Monday morning. We have a lot of laughs, go off on a lot of tangents. I mean, we even start talking about gladiators on the recent podcast. I mean, to be fair, we got beat 4-0 by Southampton, so it was probably for the best, to be honest. But yeah, there's myself, Liam, Jack, and Lewis. Always have a laugh, and we've even got some fans of other clubs that listen to us weekly, which is mad, really. But yeah, like I said, you can listen to us whinge and moan, which is probably, we've done a lot of that earlier on this season. It's been a bit better recently. I had some nice things to talk about, but yeah, just search for the Wednesday Till I Die podcast, really.
Fantastic. So, Mark, let's get into Boxing Day, shall we? What were your feelings before the game kicked off? How did you feel?
Well, I felt that we were playing Sheffield Wednesday at not a great time, if I have to be honest. I know the league table didn't, although they were near the bottom, obviously, they've been near the bottom for the season. But on the form back then, they were in decent form under Danny Roll. And, obviously their results at Hillsborough have been good, but maybe not as good away from home. But I knew it wouldn't be an easy game. And I mean, when I saw the game, I think out of the three teams in the bottom three, I would say, although Rotherham did beat us, I thought Wednesday weren't too bad, actually. I thought they gave it their best shot. I thought they were decent going forward, particularly in the second half. They probably, with a bit of luck, they could have got an equaliser when we were 1-0 up for a while. And I think in the end it was a good win for us. But look, I mean, this game on Saturday, I know we've beaten Leicester, but we've got to stay on it. We can't underestimate any team in this division, and if you do that, you come unstuck. So I'm hoping we keep up the good form.
Yeah, and speaking of good form, at that time Sakamoto was most definitely on good form, wasn't he? Obviously we spoke a little bit a minute ago off air, didn't we, James? And you mentioned Sakamoto. Did he fulfill your expectations? Did he surprise you with how well he played? And obviously he did score the 2 goals as well.
Yeah, it was a real handful, to be fair. I mean, I must admit I didn't know a great deal about him before, and just seen that, a few murmurs on social media how good he's been playing. But yeah, down, I think both wings, you really attacked us, especially in that first half. We hardly really had a touch, up until the point where you scored the first goal. And yeah, it was. I thought he was probably one of your dangerous plays that you had on that game. Although I think you played quite well on the whole, to be honest. You mentioned our form, Mark. Yeah, had picked up a little bit. We got beat by Cardiff the week before, which we should have really won that game as well. And we were kind of going into it thinking, it's going to be a tough game. Probably gets, there's a chance of us getting something, but it wasn't too disheartening to come away with a defeat. We're not quite realistic in our expectations. I think, even though on social media it probably don't look like that, but there wasn't as much of a meltdown after the game, and I think you're right as well. A bit unlucky in that second half. I mean, how we didn't score on a number of occasions, I've no idea. I mean, whether we would have gone on to get something out of the game is another thing. But there was certainly chalk and cheese, and I just felt that you boys didn't. I know it finished 2-0, and obviously you took that second chance, but there were chances in the first half where you could have been home and hosed quite easily, but just that lacking that last bit of quality in the box, or that kind of final that final pass could if that were a little bit better, then perhaps the scoreline could have been a lot more.
Yeah, and obviously you have, like you mentioned, your home form has been a little bit better than your away form has anyway. So we are coming to your ground, obviously on Saturday. Do you think anything will be? Has he tweaked anything slightly? Because obviously, in the past, the games in between, obviously Boxing Day and this Saturday, there's been 4 games, not including obviously a cup game. You've won 3, you've only lost 1. So that shows quite a turn in how well you guys are performing. Has he tweaked anything in between from Boxing Day to get you them wins, or has it been pretty much same old, but you've just been taking them chances?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few injuries as well. I mean, just looking at the side that started against yourself, Patterson went off with concussion. He's still not come back since going off after Boxing Day, and he were quite a regular start. Will Volks is another one. He got injured in the following game against Preston, which we won. Bambo Diaby obviously got that red card right at the end. He's only just come back from suspension, and to be honest, I wish he'd never come back. He made a mistake which conceded as the first goal at the weekend. Yeah, I mean, he has tweaked things. I mean, he put Bernard in the middle of the park against Southampton, which, to be honest, is probably the first mistake that Danny Rill's done since he's come in, and first thing we can kind of criticise him for, because he's a centre-back, Bernard. He isn't a midfielder, and we've got, the likes of Momo Diaby or Will Volks that can play there, or even Liam Palmer, who played at right-back on Boxing Day. He'd slotted in a few games in centre midfield. I mean, these players coming back from injury, but we've also, like I said, lost a few, and I think really I think we tried to tweak it against Southampton because of the opposition that we were coming up against, and like I say, it didn't really work. I'm not saying that if we'd have played differently, we could have got a different scoreline. I mean, it ended 4-0 in the end, and they absolutely battered us. To be perfectly honest, we hardly had a touch of the ball. They just passed us to death, and they were clinical on the counter attack, really. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the strikers, Kadamachi started up front. I don't think he had a particularly good game against Coventry, to be honest. I think he was dragged off at half time, if I remember rightly. And yeah, I mean, obviously January transfer windows open at the moment. We have brought in a forward, in Ike Ugbo, from, well, you'd know him from playing at Cardiff, but he was actually on loan at Cardiff from French side Troyes. So yeah, he didn't play at the weekend, but he might get a chance on Saturday. But in answer to your initial question, he has chopped and changed it, but it's mainly down to the injuries and things like that, rather than kind of needing to change it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does completely. And obviously, you have mentioned just there, which I was going to touch on in a minute as well, but you kind of beat me to it. What did you make of the red card? Because it was on, obviously, I'm in block 36, so it was down my end, and then literally out of the blue, Kitchen and your player, I can't remember his name now, sorry.
Bambo Diaby.
Derby. It just kicked off, and then everybody just surrounded. We didn't know what had started it. What did you see it from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the. I think it was just a frustrating game for for our point, in the second half, we were knocking on the door, missing a few chances and things like that, and then you go down the other end and make it 2-0, and it is frustrating. And I think something must have been going off beforehand, and they had a bit of a scuffle, didn't they? And I think he's gone to headbutt him or something like that. And your play is probably a bit harsh being sent off in all honesty, and it's just not on. I can get it for a bad tackle, a late tackle or something like that, but to do something like that right at the end of the game, I mean, the game's finished. And to be honest, I think really the referee could have just given both a yellow card. The game had finished. It didn't really need a red, to be perfectly honest. If he could have reffed that a bit better, but I suppose by the letter of the law, you can't really headbutt someone and get away with it.
Can't go head to head, and especially I think if if the referee or the linesman, whoever it was, saw two heads coming together, I think, like you said, by the letter of the law, I think they're both. I think they both had to go, or they both had to have a yellow card. It was half a one and half a dozen the other. It was one of them. What did you make of the incident, Mark? Did you see it, or did you have you seen it on a replay or anything?
I thought Bamba Diaby was the aggressor, if I have to be honest. I felt Kitchen was a bit, in my opinion, didn't do an awful lot wrong. I was surprised that he got this red card, but, disappointing really. Just thought it was a pretty poor decision by the referee. But it is what it is, we move on. But I just felt that I couldn't really see what Kitchen did wrong in that one. It just seemed a bit of a strange decision for me.
Yeah, it was. Again, like I said, it was down my side, and it looked like to me that Kitchen was just kind of defending himself a little bit to a certain extent. But I did see a slight head movement. I do have to be honest. I can't say that it was all down to Diaby. I think Kitchen did do a little bit something back. Whether it was enough for the melee to actually continue and to go off like it did, I'm not sure. But I think you're right, James. I think a yellow card for each of them would have sufficed, considering that I think the next kick he blew for full time anyway, or it was already gone. I think
the game had already finished by the point where that happened, so a bit unnecessary, really. But again, as a professional footballer, I know emotions can get high, but you can't be doing that. I mean, we lost him for 3 games. Like I said, probably a blessing in disguise, to be perfectly honest. But when it was suffering with injuries and things like that, to lose a player down to a needless suspension, it's not great.
Yeah. What was you going to say, Mark, a minute ago? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it's just a very unsavoury incident. I just didn't understand it really. It was like the game was gone, 2-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you can understand it more in Diaby's case. If you're losing 2-0, you can get a bit wound up, and I suppose that can happen. The red mist can descend a bit, but yeah, it's a shame really, because I didn't think it was a dirty game, was it? Really, it wasn't. Clean clean game, really. I mean, it wasn't like there's been some bad tackles and there's a bit of afters. You can sort of understand it a little bit, but not in this particular game. I thought it was
no.
Well, there was only 2 yellow cards. I think one yellow card apiece up until that point. So, it was a strange one.
Yeah, it was. So obviously, Mark, we'll move on slightly to our little bit of form that we've got as well. I think, to be fair, apart from I think we drew against Swansea the Friday after Boxing Day, and then we've done pretty much the same. I think we've won all the games. We have conceded in each of the games as well, just because obviously, like yourselves, we lost Kitchen due to that red card. And Binks come in. Now, Binks, for me, is a good replacement, is a good squad player. I think he's probably slightly technically better. I know Mark might disagree on that one in a minute, but I think he's slightly a technically better player. But what Kitchen does is he gives you that connection with Thomas and Collins that Binks necessarily can't. So that's where I think that we may have conceded the goals from, just that maybe lack of that connection between the three of them. What do you think to that, Mark? Do you think I'm right in that, or do you think I'm completely and utterly wrong?
To an extent, maybe. I think if you look back at the Swansea game, the second goal they score right at the death of the game. I think Brad Collins, for me, has got to take the criticism for that one because he doesn't mark his wall out properly. That's not down to Binks or lack of Binks or lack of Kitchen or whatever. He doesn't line the wall up properly, and then it's just an easy goal, easy free kick for them. And I just think that was pretty poor. But I think I know what he's trying to say, Stuart. I think Binks is a good cultured centre half. I think in the modern day game, someone who's got he's a good pass for a ball. He brings the ball out. He's quite comfortable on the ball. Whereas Kitchen is kind of more of a no nonsense, old fashioned type centre half. Kind of a habit type of mentality. There's no messing about with him. And I like Kitchen personally. I think he complements well with Bobby Thomas and Brad Collins. But equally, I think Binks hasn't done a lot wrong either. So I think it's good to have some competition for places, which is always important in any club. And but I still think Kitchen is the man for me.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to what James has just said. Obviously, I think Diaby came in as soon as he was back from suspension, didn't he, against Southampton? And it's the same for Kitchen. Kitchen came straight in for the game against Leicester, didn't he, Mark? And again, that connection, obviously we did go on and obviously beat Leicester City, the M69 derby on Saturday at midday. But they seemed, again, like I said, it's that connection that Collins, Kitchen and Thomas gives you. Do you think he's going to change it up, or do you think he just sticks with the same for the game against Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday?
Can't see many changes for this one. Depends if Haji Wright is fit. Does he come into the team? Probably not. He's got a duct injury. I don't know if he's in training or not. He wasn't training last week, so I suspect he won't be playing this game. I think Casey Palmer will probably retain his place. I thought Godden put in a really good shift in against Leicester, but then also when Ellis Sims came on a sub, he made an impact as well. So that's an interesting conundrum there. I would expect more change for the cup match, if I have to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's an unchanged team. I can't see there being too many changes, if I have to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. So you think it's pretty much going to be the same team that you put out for Leicester, barring maybe a change up front for Sims to start maybe and Godden to be on the bench, or
possibly because Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, most teams in the division are a physical side, so you may opt for a Sims, but I wouldn't be surprised if he rotates a striker, because that's the only position that you could rotate is possibly up front with Sims for Godden. Not that Godden's done anything wrong. I thought he had a good game against Leicester. I thought he worked really hard for the team and kind of provided an assist for the third goal. So I thought I still think he's an important player for the club, but maybe he might tweak it that way, possibly.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. James, do you see any changes from the game at Southampton?
Yeah, I do, to be honest. Like I mentioned and alluded to earlier, Bernard did not work in the middle of the park. He brought Will Volks on for him at half time, and I don't think I would replace Bernard. I would just move him back to centre back and take Diaby out of the firing line, even though he did come back after his suspension. He has got better, Diaby, but he has got a mistake in him, and I just think Bernard is a much better player. Michael Ehekwe came in to replace Diaby after he got that suspension, and he's been fantastic. He hardly got a sniff this season, and he's certainly not played under Danny Röhl, but he's kind of played under out of necessity, and he's done really well. And I just think Bambo Diaby should have never really come back into the side. A namesake, Momo Diaby. We've got two Diabys in our team. He's been injured all of the first half of the season, and then he wasn't even registered in the 25-man squad. The squad was full, and we couldn't even get him back in, even though he was fit. So in January the 1st, it almost felt like a brand new signing. He'd only played 40 minutes on his debut before he went off injured at the start of the season. So he plays in that defensive mid role. I do really like him. He's he's just like a Rolls Royce. He's 6'6". He's an absolute man mountain.
Wow.
Reminds me very much like Carlton Palmer in his stature. Long legs, a few strides, and he can really munch the miles up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd expect either Will Volks or Diaby to come in. I don't think Ike Ugbo will start. I think he'll probably be on the bench. We'll certainly see him at some point in the game, but I don't think he'll start. But other than that, I think he'll probably keep very similar sides. It'll be Johnson on the left, Palmer on the right, Bannon, and then either Volks or Momo Diaby. Then it'll be Gassama and Musaba, the two wingers that were that had a bit of pace when we played you boys. Windass will probably be in the 10. I think that's his better position. And then we'll have to go with Kadamatri up top. But, he scored 3 goals. And I think, at home, he's away from home it might be a little bit different. But at home, I think he'll certainly start up there. I mean, the big question is whether he's going to stick with Cameron Dawson in goal. We've signed James Beadle, who we're playing regularly for Oxford in League One.
That, yeah.
His loan was terminated by Brighton, and he sent him to us. Our goalkeeping coach was at Brighton a couple of years back, so I think that's where the link comes. He'll have seen him coming up through the ranks, and obviously he's got contacts at Brighton. So whether the goalkeeping coach had a say in that, he's only 19, he's very young. But Cameron Dawson's just shipped 4 goals in the last game. I mean, he saved 2 penalties in the FA Cup. I don't know if you saw that, but that was quite remarkable. But a lot of people were saying, that James Beadle should have come in and played in goal against Southampton. Probably in hindsight, probably not great to make your debut, and we're probably going to lose that game anyway. But it'd be interesting to see whether he stands by Cameron Dawson, because he has made a few clangers this season and under Danny Röhl as well, but he's stuck by his side. But to bring in a goalkeeper like that, because we already had a goalkeeper on loan as well, in Devis Vasquez. He never used him, Danny Röhl, but he's now brought Beadle in. You'd think, if he's not going to change his goalkeeper, you might as well just stick with the one that you've already got. But he's made the decision to change it, so it just sounds we might be seeing a different goalkeeper in goal on Saturday.
Okay, interesting. Well, to go not off topic, but the last time that we won at Hillsborough was the 22nd of November 2008. I know we haven't been in the same league for some of them years either anyway, but we've got to go a way back to, and that was a 1-0 win, and Clinton Morrison scored for us. So obviously you've mentioned Sakamoto being a threat. Do you see any other threats coming from us?
Yeah, quite a lot, to be fair. I mean, most of your side will probably get into ours, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's just I mean, Sakamoto is probably the main one. I think he kind of obviously got 2 goals, so of course I'm going to mention him. It's it would be a miss of me not to mention him. But I thought is it Haji Wright? Is he the one that played on the left hand side? I thought both wingers caused us all sorts of problems. Like last time we played. I mean, O'Hare, I thought he was pretty quiet when we played each other, even though I thought he did. I think he scored in the game prior, and obviously he bagged a couple at the weekend, didn't he, against Leicester? Yes. So he'll be banging form and obviously looking to score. But I thought we kept him fairly quiet on Boxing Day. I don't know whether that was just because my expectations of him were quite high, but no, I think you got the ball out wide and really utilised the space, and I think that's probably one of our weaknesses at the moment is we're not stopping the cross, and we are giving teams a lot of space on the wing. Whether that's deliberate or not, I don't know, but it's certainly causing us a few problems. I mean, all 4 goals that we conceded against Southampton came from the ball coming in from the wing. I mean, it weren't necessarily crosses every time. Quite a few were just played along the floor and swept in. But yeah, I'm sure both those will be ones to look out for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Haji Wright won't be because at the moment he is injured. But Casey Palmer will probably be coming into that, and Casey Palmer's been doing really, really well. He scored an I don't know whether you saw the screamer that he scored for Oxford, for us against Oxford, I should say.
Great goal.
So that he's got that in the locker. He's got a good free kick in the locker as well as Milan has as well. So, Mark, what? I don't know where I was going to go then with that one. I've just lost my train of thought. That was it. Any questions for James?
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, the thing we've got to be mindful of as a Coventry fan, Coventry players, is Sheffield Wednesday's home forms in recent games is actually really good. The last 5 games in all competitions, they've won 4 and lost 1. I mean, James, what do you put that down to? Why is the home form so much better than the away form? Is it just a confidence thing, playing in front of the fans behind the players, or style of football? What would you put it down to?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, that one. I mean, obviously the win against Hull, they got a red card, which obviously helps, but I think we're on top anyway beforehand. I mean, the only game we lost was against Cardiff, and we should have really won that one. I think the away fixtures have been a bit tricky, so I think it also falls down to the fact of the teams that we were playing. We played Blackburn at the start of their demise. They've kind of fell off a cliff since we've beat them as well. I mean, the atmosphere at home isn't great. I'll be perfectly honest; it hasn't been great for a while, even in League One. As much as we get the good attendances. I think the past couple of seasons there's been that expectation there. I think this season, it's been awful for the first 10. I think the first game we won were 13, 14 games into the season, so we're only just kind of getting back on his feet. However, one thing I would say, maybe because of that, we have got that kind of siege mentality, and I think at one point we were 12, 13 points adrift of safety, which is. We were miles behind, and to get back to where we are now, and obviously the football that Danny Rill's playing is a lot better. It's chalk and cheese in comparison to where we were at the start of the season. Up until the game of the weekend against Southampton, he could do no wrong. Like I mentioned, he did make you have to kind of put a bit of a mistake down to the lineup that he chose and the way that he went to and play that game, but it's a lot more attacking and a lot more on the front foot. And then just also the way that he kind of interacts with the crowd and, and he gets involved and he's throwing his arms up in the air and showing that passion. But yeah, I think it is just that siege mentality more than anything, in that the fans getting behind the team. We've been scoring a lot of late goals as well. Not so much in recent weeks, but certainly a last minute goal against Leicester to get a point. QPR was another really late goal as well to win it. So when you do that and the crowd is behind you right to the end, then obviously it does make a massive difference. I think the away form is just down to just the teams that have been coming up against, Southampton, yourselves as well. You've been fantastic at home. Both teams on a great run. And the first half of the season we were just crap at home and away, to be honest.
I think us and Sheffield Wednesday are the only 2 clubs that have avoided losing to Leicester at home this season. I think that's one thing we've got in common.
Yeah.
I think Wednesday drew and we beat them. So there you go.
Yeah, we did draw to them 1 apiece. Like I said, a last minute goal. They should have battered us, to be fair. They had all the ball, they just didn't do anything with it. But yeah. And I think that's where the 2 similarities probably end, to be honest.
Can we get a score prediction from you, James?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Hand on heart, you're in fantastic form at the moment. I can see you beating us, to be honest. Really, if we get anything out of the game, it'll be absolute bonus. So my head is saying that you might beat us 2-1. My heart is saying that we can dig in like we have done, and we can bounce back from that 4-0 defeat at the weekend, and perhaps nick it 1-0. But yeah, in reality, I think really I won't be too disheartened. I said this off air as well. We've come to within 3 points of safety after being so far behind. It was just annoying that we were playing Southampton away and Huddersfield had a relatively easy fixture. They've drawn. I think they've got Blackburn this weekend as well, and it's just annoying that we've got 2 fairly difficult fixtures, and the gap could have drifted back out to 9. As it happens, Huddersfield are crap as well, so they didn't take advantage of it. But there's a chance that they could win at the weekend, and like through no fault of our own. You look at the games, and all right, we're at home, so we should expect to get something. But just by virtue of the fixtures that are coming up, we could find ourselves even further away. But there is still a lot of time left in the season, of course.
Yeah, there is. There's loads of football, and anything can still happen. Most definitely. Mark, any score prediction from you?
Well,
you're going to sit on the fence as normal.
I always do this because if I predict us to win, we never do. So we should win, if I have to be honest. But Wednesday's home form is a slight concern for me from our point of view because they have been playing better at home, and I think it will be a harder game than it would be if we were the home side like it was on Boxing Day. But if we played in all honesty, in all seriousness, if we played to the level we've been playing, we should beat Sheffield Wednesday. If I have to be honest, if we don't turn up, then we can, like any game, you get unstuck. But I'm going to go for us to win. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win.
Okay. Our only crumb of comfort is that 7 of your 8 defeats this season have come away from home. Yes. Obviously, your home form's blistering, but all your defeats really have come on
6.
The travel. So that
6 away,
yeah, that's like 7 in all comps. I think you lost to Wimbledon, didn't you? At the start. That's our only glimmer of hope is that your away form's not as good as what you are at home. Just on that, by the way, your home fans and the atmosphere was complemented by quite a lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans, by the way. So some people saying it was the best atmosphere that they've had all season going away from home.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that one. For me, just as Mark said, really a little bit, if we show up, and I've said it all season, if we show up, we beat majority of sides or we get something from the game. Our away form isn't the best and your home form is quite good. But, I always say if you draw your away games and win your home games, you'll be somewhere close at the end of the season. If we drew 1-1 or 0-0, I wouldn't be that fussed necessarily, as long as it's 2 good teams going at it. But I still think that we may have too much at the moment with the form that we're in, the players that we've got. So I am going to go for the same scoreline as on Boxing Day. So I am going to go for a 2-0 victory to us. Now, at this point, I would normally start doing word associations and start finishing off. However, we have got another game a week later on the Friday night in the FA Cup. So we'll discuss that a little bit and preview that a little bit as well, rather than doing a separate show, because apart from barring any injuries or or suspensions, if it's the RB Kitchen round 2, it's pretty much going to be the same. So, James, do you, barring any injuries and any suspensions that does come our way or your way on Saturday, do you see any changes? Do you think he changes it up for the FA Cup, or is he just trying to get momentum going into every game?
Yeah, I thought that he were going to change it up for the Cardiff game. In all honesty, he made 3 changes. He rested Cadamartri, he rested Barry Bannon. One's 19, the other one's 34 years old, and he also rested Marvin Johnson as well, he's into his 30s as well. Other than that, it was all the same side that went out the previous week. So, like I said, I would have played the kids. In all honesty, I was more bothered about focusing on the league. Clearly, Danny Röhl has a different outlook on it now. I mean, one way you could look at it is, as much as it's a boring tie, in all honesty, I was expecting one of the Premier League sides, as I'm sure you were probably expecting as well, or hoping for. Yeah. It's a team that you play in the league. It is a chance of getting through, especially depending on how you take it. I mean, Cardiff made a whole host of changes, and obviously we beat them 4-0. It's one of those, isn't it? If you play a strong side and they make a lot of changes, it's almost like an easy buy into the next round. And yeah, I think momentum is key, and he did mention that in his his pre-match press conference as well, that he just wants to keep building. And you've got to remember that unlike Mark Robins, he's been there he hasn't been there a long time. It feels like he's been here quite a while now, but games are just coming thick and fast. So it's another opportunity to kind of implement whatever he's trying, because we're not there. We're not a finished article yet. We're not winning every game every week. So yeah, I don't think he'll make many changes. He'll probably rest Barry Bannon. He might just do the same thing again. Rest the players that have perhaps had a tough game the week before. And but other than that, no, I don't expect him to. I expect him to give the FA Cup the respect that it deserves. Put it that way.
Yeah. No, I like that. I do like that. And you kind of you have kind of answered my next question that I was going to ask. Because our owner Doug King and Mark Robins have both said this year they want a good cup run. Hence why I think we put a fairly strong side out on against Oxford. Do you think that Danny Roll wants a cup run to keep that momentum going, or do you think that he's just trying different things out? Because like you said, he hasn't been there that long, and I suppose he's got to try different players out in different positions to see if they can help out somewhere else in the league if needed.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well is we're strapped for cash as well at the moment. I mean, I think was it $100,000 or whatever that you won for winning in the third round, and I think it's something similar to for winning in the fourth round as well. So it doesn't sound a lot, but when you haven't got a great deal of money, then it certainly helps. So I don't know whether there was a whisper in his ear from the chairman saying, we could do with this money if we win. Don't put a weak side out. But no, I think it is just a case. It's not necessarily trying new things, but it's just when you're down at the bottom, you're down at the bottom for a reason, because you've lost more games than you've won.
Yeah.
To get we beat Cardiff 4-0. I know we haven't followed that up with a win in the following game, mainly because we played Southampton, but certain players could get a lot of confidence. I mean, Cameron Dawson making 2 penalty saves. If it wasn't him in net and it was Piers Charles, it doesn't get that confidence boost. I know there's the whole injuries and things, but I think too much is looked into in that regards. I think the whole resting players, it's all filtered down from the Premier League and your likes of your Liverpools and your Man Cities, because they're doing it. It's filtered down and kind of diluted the FA Cup somewhat in terms of how people look at it in terms of importance. But it's nice when you pay your money to go and watch that. You want to be seeing the first team. You don't want to be seeing as much as on a bigger picture you might be thinking play the kids. In reality, when you go, you want to see a good performance at the end of the day, and there's more chance of doing that with your first 11 out there. Yeah,
definitely. Mark, obviously going back to the draw, obviously James has just slightly alluded to it a little bit, saying, we were anticipating the draw. I did a live TikTok stream, and the anticipation of that, that Man City or that Liverpool, and then Sheffield Wednesday came out first, and then we came out next. It just kind of felt a little bit deflated and flat, didn't it? How do you think that Mark Robins is going to approach this one? The same as he did Oxford and put a strong side out? Or do you think, now we're in the top 6, do you think he's going to choose that one?
I think he'll do a bit of both, but I think he'll try and utilise the squad that we've got. So I wouldn't be surprised if, say, the likes of Jay De Silva gets a start, or Jamie Allen, Sims might need some game time. So you might, Ben Wilson obviously will probably come in for Brad Collins, for Kitchie, just to ensure there's no fight of him and that Diaby guy. So that'd be a good reason to start him. But no, in all seriousness, I think those sort of players I would expect to get a run out. Lati Baudier may come in for Van Ivak, so he may tweak it a bit. But James makes a good point. There is prize, there's some decent prize money there available for the victors of this game. So, and also, fingers crossed, an opportunity to play a Premier League side. I'm sure both our clubs would want that, because in all seriousness, I'm kind of happy we haven't got a non-league or a Wrexham or someone like that, because we lost to Wrexham last year. We're not very good against lower league opposition. So I wasn't disappointed to get Sheffield Wednesday because, one, it's I like going. I mean, Hillsborough is a great ground, and I'm looking forward to going there personally. But I think it's a game where it won't be easy. It's a winnable game potentially. I mean, you could Wednesday could argue that if we put a weaker side out, it could be a winnable game for them. So I think it's a tie that both teams can potentially win. But I'm not too disappointed to draw, because I think it's an opportunity for us to progress. And I think we can do. As I said earlier, if we play to the level we can play at, we'll win. But but as I said earlier, Wednesday at home have been playing quite well. So it's a dangerous game. It's going to be, I think, a much tougher game than it would be if we were the home side. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question then, Mark. Do you think we can get 3 wins out of 3 against Sheffield Wednesday?
I think we'll win the league game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a draw in the cup and then we win the replay.
Okay.
That's my view.
Okay. How do you feel about that, James? Do you think you can get redemption on us and win one of the games?
Yeah, I think obviously, if you beat us in the league, then you'll think it's literally 5 or 6 days after. You'll probably think we can do the same again. Having said that, I think we'll probably go strong, and you'll probably make quite a few changes. And obviously, if you beat us, then that means you're probably even further into the playoffs, and things, you start looking at those sorts of things rather than the prize for getting into the Premier League is far greater than the £120,000 that you'll get for winning in the FA Cup. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if what you've said, Mark, is how it pans out. I don't want to have a replay. I don't want to play Coventry any more times than what we need to do. To be perfectly honest,
we enjoy company now, don't we? We enjoy talking about the game.
We enjoy. Don't worry. Come back on any time.
Yeah. It's not for you guys, by the way. There's no hard feelings.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just I'd probably say we could get something in the cup. If I was a betting man and I had to put my money somewhere and we were going to win one of them, it would probably be in the cup, I guess. Okay,
fair enough. Any other questions, Mark, on the league or on the cup game?
I suppose it's not a question for me. It's a question for fans. Going to the games of Sheffield was a good place for pubs and that kind of thing, social stuff before the game by Hillsborough.
Yeah, I think the main away pub is actually in the centre of town, so we're actually kind of in the outskirts, but where the Sheffield train station is, there's a pub called the Howard, which is probably the one where everyone goes to, mainly because it is bang outside the train station, and then you can pop straight through the train station, jump on the tram, and the tram stops bang outside the ground. So great links in terms of that. Not quite sure what the time the last tram is and what have you for getting back into town, but no, there's not really any car parks around the ground, but there's loads of on-street parking that you can use. I park just off Penistone Road before you get to the McDonald's. If you get to the McDonald's, you've gone a bit too far. I'm just on one of the side streets there, and there is a few pubs on the way. So if you've not got colours on, I'm sure you'd be more than welcome in there. And yeah, it's just about 10-15 minute saunter down Penistone Road to the ground. And but yeah, like in terms of parking, it is, like I said, there's no real big car parks. It's like you alluded to earlier, it's traditional ground with houses around it. It's not these ones that are plonked on the edge of the city with big car parks and stuff like that. It is we do struggle in that regard, but no, it's that's probably your best bet.
Cool, great, thank you very much. Anything else, Mark?
No, looking forward to the game.
Brilliant. So, as always, I finish it on the word association. They are different questions to what you answered last time. So let's get going. So the first one is loudest fans this season that you've heard, home or away?
Ooh, loudest fans. I mean, Hull were quite loud, but we beat them, so we did quiet them down. But they brought quite a few, so I'd have to say them so far.
Okay, Barry Bannon.
Legend.
Okay. What do you expect in the January transfer window?
What do I hope for, or what do I expect? I hope for a lot of signings. What do I expect? Not a lot.
Okay, fair enough. What's been the biggest surprise of the season, or who's been the biggest surprise of the season?
Bailey Cadamartri, I guess. We don't have many coming from the youth setup, so Bailey Cadamartri coming through and scoring 3 goals at only 19 years old. So yeah, him.
Okay, and the last one, player of the season so far.
Oh, that's a tough one. That there hasn't been many, to be honest. I'd have to say Bailey Cadamartri again.
Okay.
Breaking through into the first team and bagging 3 goals in so far. So yeah, it'd have to be him.
Okie dokie. So, thank you very much. Much appreciated for your time again. I know it's gone slightly over our normal one, but obviously we have rounded up the FA Cup game as well. So thank you very much for coming on. Where can we find you, and what do you guys do again?
Yeah, so it's the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. So search for @WTID Pod across all the socials, and all the links are there. Like I said, all the major podcasting platforms. You can also watch us on YouTube as well. We just, like I said, talk about the game from the weekend. Very light-hearted. People liken it to 4 mates down the pub. That's the kind of vibe that we go for. So yeah,
excellent. We like that vibe. We like that vibe.
Excellent. Yeah.
Right. So that's it for the preview show. Thank you very much, Mark, for your attendance again. It's much appreciated. Enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you again, James. Look, if we happen and we don't go up this season, fingers crossed that we do. However we go up, if we do get to play, obviously we will speak again next season. We might try and do something, because I know you've got things planned, and we might try and join you on that if that's okay, and have a chat on that and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, doing a 24-hour live stream during the international break, raising money for Prostate Cancer UK. So yeah, we did a 12-hour one a couple of years ago, so we're going one step further and doing 24 hours. We'll see how that goes. Got loads of things planned as well. I'm hoping to do a full 24 hours anyway. Fantastic,
and what a great cause as well. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So thank you again for that. Don't rush off once we've finished recording. We'll just have a quick chat afterwards as well, James. Just remember where you can find us is scrolling down the bottom: X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, and we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar. Please go and like and subscribe everything that we do. It is much appreciated. Our next target is 350 subscribers. We're just over 300 now, so we're well on our way, and it's absolutely fantastic support that we're getting from you guys. We are on obviously streaming Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, and things like that as well. So wherever you get your podcasts from, we're on there as well. If you don't want to watch us, hopefully you would like to listen to us. So from me, thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, once again, and thank you, James.